Hello and welcome back. This is Beautiful Ashes, and I'm your host Tom, and I'd like to welcome you to another episode. Now, the title of this episode is going to go something like "When you know better, do better." And we're still on the issue of pain, and so this is something that I'd like to kind of get across to you guys, and actually so that you can understand some of the reason why you actually went through the things that you went through, and to actually give you a change of perspective. That way, you can actually kind of break free from these cycles of pain in your life and from programming life in the cycles of programming cycles of pain in the lives of your children and of your loved ones. Now, one of the things that I realized is I'm going to use an example where I heard from another preacher. I don't remember his name, but he's a pastor. And I think this is actually a very good example. Now, I want you to imagine you are a 16-year-old boy or you're a 16-year-old girl, and then you get somebody pregnant. Okay? Now you got somebody pregnant while you yourself, well, you think you're an adult because that's what you like to think of as teenagers, that you've grown up, you can actually do something, you're an adult, you like to think yourself as an adult, but you're actually not. Once you grow older in age, you actually realize that some things you cannot learn. It's not, I'm not saying that wisdom comes with age. That is not necessarily true, but there are some aspects of wisdom that you can only pick up through age. Okay? Now, so what happens is, assume you got a child when you're 16 years old, maybe in your teens, 18 years, even 20 years old is fine. And then because of one thing or another, you actually gave up that baby. I don't know, maybe you gave them up for adoption. Maybe you ran away as a guy, you ran away, left your wife alone, or left the girl to raise the kid alone, or for some reason, you just ran away. And now the kid grows up, maybe 20, 30 years later, they grow up, and they're hating you for abandoning them. But then, now I want you to assume that you're that kid. Now, it's well within your right to actually hate them. But here's a different kind of perspective. Do you think you'll be able to do better at that age? Because understand this, people at that age, they're children. Because I can remember when I was a father. I can remember when I first became like a dad, a quote unquote. I was 21, and I was 22. Yeah, I was 22. And so what happened was I was scared out of my mind. Okay, I did not know what to do. I just dropped out of college. I didn't know the way forward. I pretty much didn't have any prospects for the future. And now there was a kid coming along the way, and I did not know what to do about it. And so there's this thing that happens whereby, you get scared, and that's what happens. And so a lot of the times, before you judge somebody, before you become too harsh on your parents or your siblings and whatnot, find out who they were before they actually had you. Find out what kind of life they were living at that time. Find out find the context of the life that you're living at that situation. Because it's very easy for you to judge them having not gone through that same place. Because sometimes people do the only thing that they think that they know. I remember a story of this pastor as well, another one, who kind of actually, it was actually in a movie. And so this guy was actually abandoned as a baby, and he came back maybe 30, 40 years later to see the father, and actually found the dad somewhere, and he found the dad living somewhere. And he was so pissed. He wanted just there to go and actually just kind of like, just to show off, saying, hey, I made it without you. I don't need you in my life, He just wanted to say that. But when he got there, I remember the movie, but it's actually a very touching story because it actually kind of explains what I'm trying to communicate in this episode. And so what happens is, when he got there, the dad told him his story. He was a drunk. He was an addict. He didn't have a life. He was homeless and all that time. And what he did was he went and did the only thing that he knew, because he did have hope for his life, but he didn't want the child to suffer the same hope or the same hopelessness in his life. And he didn't know how to become a parent. He didn't know how to actually overcome that situation and actually, break forth from it. And so what he did was the only best thing that he knew. He went to a fast station and dropped the baby there. And the baby grew up and became this guy who was coming at his door now and showing off how he made it. And so now you look at that situation, it almost got me teary eyes, because you realize some of the things that you actually point at your parents' ads and saying that, they did this, they did that, they did this. You really have to ask yourself this. They did the best. They did the best at that time with what they knew. At the end of the day, it's not even about forgiveness. It's not even about them. It's about you. And so at the time, what they did is they did the best with what they knew. And now that you know better, you can do better. Okay? And so a lot of the times we find ourselves, the people that you're blaming or the people that hurt us, they didn't know any better. And it's not their fault they didn't know any better. Maybe it's the situation they grew up in, because you can't tell. Can you actually say, in all sincerity, that you can go through the same situation that they did and actually make it out to become this perfect person? Or could you actually accept a different perspective and actually notice that sometimes the same wounds that you went through, they went through something else as well. Everybody has gone through something, and sometimes people don't always make it. They don't always turn out great at the end. Okay, it's not like every product that goes in their factory line actually becomes actually hits the market, actually becomes a product. If you remember, even Apple or some of these cars, actually, I think it was even Tesla, they recalled some of their vehicles because not everything actually goes through the factory line actually comes out the way it was intended to go through, the way it was intended to come out. And so some of these people, they just couldn't bear the pain to actually see. They just couldn't bear the darkness inside of the tunnel before they got to the light at the end of the tunnel. And so understand this. If this can help anybody who's listening, understand this. If your parents or whoever it is that hurt you in your life, or whoever it is that's caused, or whoever it is that caused the majority of pain in your life, if they knew better, they would do better. But they didn't know better, and so they didn't do better. And now you know better, so you can do better. Okay? So, just give them benefit of the doubt. Sit with them, ask them, talk to them, find out what happened in their lives. If they're willing to talk, if they're not, that's okay. Okay, so that's it for this episode. I'm just going on and on and on about pain and whatnot. But anyway, it's just something I wanted to share with you guys, and I hope you can actually learn from it. And actually, if you don't understand anything that I said, or you need me to clarify, just be sure to let me know in the comment section below. And that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening, and be sure to hit the like, share, subscribe button.